Ben Ellwood.
This is Oink Time Pod. Welcome. You can find us at Twitter at Oink Time Pod.
Guys, please follow us. We've got woefully few Twitter followers. It's looking grim. We've got a Facebook page. Follow us there. If you like the podcast, please rate and review it on iTunes. Give it 5 stars. Leave a comment. It really helps us get new listeners. Today's guest
is Nick's son.
Oh, the great Nick's son.
If you're a new oinker, we have a word. We pull it out of a hat. We chat to a guest, and this one is Nick's son. We need to thank Young Henry's Brewery for sponsoring us. Thank you very much, Young Henry's, and of course our producer Sean Allen. Check out his podcast In Brackets with Sean Allen.
Before we start, does Nick's son have anything to plug?
I have a series of articles which might be considered a blog on, I just hate the word blog. Read it or don't read it. I don't care.
No, read it. It is
Medium Nick's son.
Oink time. Magic.
You really think that about me?
I think we all do that.
No.
I think we all do that, Benny, and I think you do it a lot.
We all do what?
Sean's trying to recreate a moment.
I can't recreate a moment. But yeah, you have hope and then you get disappointed and then you fall into your comfort zone of anger and then that justifies doing self-indulgent things that are bad for you. Because if you blame yourself, you can justify treating yourself poorly.
I would agree with that.
Well, we all have things which like self-destructive impulses, man. And I think maybe you just have this blockage because then you're afraid of failure or afraid of success.
Afraid of happiness.
Really?
Yeah, you hate being happy.
No, I love being happy.
No, you're so out of your comfort zone.
I think you're happy being happy.
Yeah.
No.
But I've seen it. I have it as well, that self-destructive impulse. I've managed to, disable a lot of it by not doing comedy anymore.
I feel like your destructive ways are different. I feel like you're more okay with being happy, Nick.
Yeah.
Than Benny. Like, Benny, I feel like the moment maybe it's just romantically happy, but if you're romantically happy, straight away it's like,
there's an inbuilt fear, though, that the happiness is going to end or be destroyed. So it's like you're preempting disappointment by fucking it up.
Don't you think everyone feels like that?
Not everyone. I've met some well-adjusted people. Not many, but there are people who don't even think.
Is that a thing that most people undermine their own happiness?
In the comedy world, yeah.
That's the thing. Like the year that I had off, I was never happy. I was so fucking
Seriously,
happy.
once I stopped,
so fucking happy.
I hang out with different spheres of people, and you start meeting people who don't think that way. Honestly.
Yeah,
it was a huge shock to my system.
I'm pretty happy at the moment.
No, you're not. I can see the glazed look of lies in your eyes. I'm just kidding, Jen.
Yeah, I feel alright at the moment.
I think you're right, though. I think it is that fear of the happiness being taken away. So it's like, well, fuck it, I'll just burn it down before anyone can take it from me.
Yeah.
Take control.
There's that. Some guy was telling me that there's this default position that people have where they actually create predictable feelings and there's a reward in that because it's predictable.
Yeah.
And so we value predictability over actual happiness.
Totally.
If that is more foreign to you than actually being depressed and having things not work out, then people just get addicted. It's like a broken record. You're wearing in the groove so many times.
What's your comfort zone? People are way more comfortable unhappy often than happy. I mean, not that I know, but a lot of people I've met.
But
I've been like that. I don't feel like that now, but for a while I was way more comfortable being down, tired, shitty, beating myself up for something. That was so much easier than being happy.
It's so weird though because it's so counterintuitive, that you are comfortable in your own fucking misery and misery is actually your happy place.
Do you think it's counterintuitive?
I think if you said to most people, hey, the reason that you're fucking burning your life down is because you secretly feel more comfortable sitting in ashes than sitting in a good life, they would go, oh, that's not fucking true. How dare you?
Really?
Because there's people in my life that...
hang out with other people, I
hang out, you're one of the only people I fucking hang out with.
people.
I can't imagine those other people.
No. There's been people that you see pinwheeling around, destroying their own lives, and if you kind of say to them, "I think this is something that you enjoy doing to yourself,"
You know what I
they
think?
find that like a.
I think a common one is people who function at high levels of anxiety, and that's their comfort zone. I think that's probably more relatable for people, because I know a lot of people who don't do comedy but who are like in an anxious state, and they're like, I've got to get to work, and then I've got to go to the gym, and then I've got to do this, and then I'm going to cook this, and they're like, look like their face is going to explode. Well, I think if you sort of talk to them about that in a gentle way, more people would agree with it maybe.
No, but that's because they can't stop doing things, because if they stop doing things, then they start thinking too much and start looking into themselves, and then
into
being
life.
horrified and seeing all the things that they have to deal with, all their shadow and all the stuff they've been not dealing with.
A buddy of mine said that filling your day with chores is like building an obstacle maze for your anxiety.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
just like putting it in the middle of this maze so it can't catch up with you. And it's like it follows.
You're diverting the anxious energy into like meaningless tasks.
When we all lived in the UK, I became a neat freak and would clean all the time. Before we moved there, I never did.
Yeah, right.
It was the most obvious.
My life's falling apart, but my room's clean.
It wasn't even that
control.
it was falling apart. It was that I had no control of anything. I didn't feel like everything was falling apart. Oh, probably I did actually at times.
It was falling
at
apart.
times, yeah, I did. Yeah, but not everything was.
Our lives were falling apart.
Hey!
the contrast between us on the
realised-
plane on the way to the UK going, yay, this is it, we're going to make it. And 3 months later was fucking drastic.
The way, on the plane on the way there, I fucking hated everybody because you were arguing with someone that we were flying with, and there was a few other moments, and then my boyfriend at the time decided it was a great
England.
time to tell me all this stuff that he'd lied about in the last 6 months
On
on
the
the
plane?
plane. And I
Really?
was like, what am I doing with my life? But the point is, like, I like clung to cleaning, and I knew what I was doing. I was like, I can do this and I'll feel okay.
Yeah,
And before
but it's
that,
cultivating
I
an
didn't
illusion
clean
of
at
control.
all. Yeah.
My mom does it as well. She's like obsessed with order, but it's just this idea of, I'm in control, but it's
Yeah.
you're not. You're just creating this illusion of control, and then someone could cut off the petrol to Australia by fucking nixing that pipeline in Singapore, and in about 3 days everyone will be.
But then what
Killing
from your perspective is actual control?
Well, letting go, like finding an inner center where you can be. It's like that fucking Campbell quote, when he was talking about being the still point of the turning world.
Joseph Campbell.
Yeah, Joseph Campbell.
Yeah.
Like you got to find an inner center or stillness.
Like your follow your bliss kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I
Or
think
not follow your bliss, but just be able to like be in a chaotic thing and not freak out.
But I find I get stillness.
To some extent,
I get stillness, like mental stillness, by doing mundane tasks. So, like, if I'm cleaning or something, I will feel calm, and then I'll be able to think about other
Yeah, I
stuff
love
a lot
washing
more.
dishes.
fair
I
enough.
love it.
Yeah. So
I get good thinking
there's
done.
like a weird connect to those mundane tasks, or even like gardening, because I'm like 150. I love
Gardening's
gardening.
great.
Yeah. So, but that's like a, like a nurturing, cleaning, tidying, whatever you want to call it thing. But I feel like I get a bit more relaxed.
Gardening's therapeutic though, generally.
Oh, so
But don't you also feel like
working with
that's
earth.
like something that kind of humans have done forever? And so when you're doing those things, it's kind of reconnecting with a simpler.
Yeah,
Probably.
Kind
well,
of
you're
headspace.
reconnecting with Earth. You're grounding yourself. There's excess mental energy in the Western life, so you're basically channeling that into the Earth. So that's like therapeutic.
I got to do something soon, man. I can feel it fucking killing me.
Get out of the city, man.
I can feel it fucking killing me.
Just go to the woods and
I
sit
thought
there
you
for like
started
10 days.
meditating.
Oh man, fucking 15 minutes of meditating a day is not going to fix this shit.
I find if I do yoga and meditate, it helps.
Getting the Headspace app has not fixed me.
Oh,
That's not even meditation. It's
I'm
not
glad
meditation
that's
when that's
recorded, because
there's a guy going, now do this, now do that.
It's guided meditation.
I don't know, man.
I am so glad that's recorded.
What?
Because do you know how many times
Oh, fuck.
Ben, on an offhand comment, I'll say one thing I'm stressed out about, Nikki, one thing. And then offhand comment, oh, you really got to get that Headspace app, Jen. I don't know why you don't have it.
I don't know. I'm
need
like,
it. Because it's a stupid app.
it's like meditation light, man.
Yeah,
I
but
do
you're
yoga.
in a situation where you're not. You have figured out a grift in the system to remove yourself out of the fucking cogs of the machinery. So
it wasn't a purposeful thing. It's just, it removed me.
What do you explain?
Well, you do comedy for 13 years. There's like this huge gap on your CV. Like even just recently, I'm like trying to put myself on a lease, and it's like show us an employment record, and I was like, no, I can't. And it was like have 100 points of ID, and I'm like, I have 60 points of the ID. I have to reorder my birth certificate apparently, or get my driver's license.
How did you lose is your birth certificate?
Well, I don't know. Even yesterday in the car, I thought it was 2019.
I used to love that joke you used to do. There's a silver lining to every cloud, except a mushroom cloud.
Oh yeah. Jeez, yeah.
Do you miss comedy?
I guess on some level, but then I did a gig on Sunday. Well, it was just a speaking thing. Like, it wasn't even meant to be funny, but that knee-jerk reaction of needing to be funny kicked in, and I didn't miss that at all. I was just like, oh God, like, what is this piece of me that's missing inside of me that depends on people's laughter to feel like to not panic?
Yeah.
Do you think I don't miss that.
Do you think there's a way to pursue like any kind of whatever in the arts, whatever, comedy, painting, whatever, while at the same time detaching yourself from the need for other people's approval?
I think so.
I don't know if there is.
Well, you know, I feel like the best comics don't give a shit, you know, like...
But
But do they not give a shit, or do
they can stick to their their guns, you know, like, you know, Hicks and Stanhope, all those guys, they could say their shit even though half the crowd would walk out. And there's some element of not giving a shit there.
People thought you didn't give a shit.
Oh, I gave a massive shit.
Yes,
but from the outset,
that's what
it
I'm
looked like you
saying. It
didn't.
looks like they don't care, but I don't think they don't care.
Or someone like Patrice, like when Patrice was alive, like you would look at his stuff on stage and was like, holy shit, that guy doesn't care.
Yeah.
But then you see interviews with him where he's like, he cares a lot. Like he's like, my career fucking sucks. You know, I'm not getting any opportunities.
Stanhope cared.
Yeah, everyone. I don't think that you can do something that relies on the positive reinforcement of external people without giving a shit what they think.
I don't know. It's still kind of sick.
Yeah, no, I'm saying it's really fucking sick.
I guess like visual artists, perhaps, but I mean, without an audience. You know.
Well, I mean, like I do like writing and even podcasting is a lot easier in a way, you know, because you don't have the audience getting in the way all the time. You're like, oh, I can be me. I can actually explore more facets of myself. Don't rely on a 10-second fucking punchline to kick in.
Yeah.
Like I feel freer when I'm writing now because I'm like, oh, I don't have to be funny. I can explore tonality and say this.
Whatever,
It's like it's much more. I get my kicks out of that more.
Freeing.
It's more freeing, but maybe it's just because we're doing gigs to like people who don't know us and like in a junk bar, and they have expectations, and then you have your stupid artistic dreams, and then.
Well, especially with some of the fucking shit that we were carrying on with back in the day.
Oh, yeah, that's because we're just dumb fucking
assholes.
Because we're dumb 20-year-old fucking arrogant twats. Like
We really were.
No one gets me. I'm such a fucking artist. And it's like, no, you're just a fucking spoiled first world pig. You know,
making the audience laugh is so fucking hack.
Yeah.
It's so hack making the crowd feel good.
Yeah. Why am I broke?
Should we go to the hat?
Yeah, let's go to the hat.
All right. So, Nikki, you're going to pull a word out of the hat. Oh, you've done this before?
Yeah. Okay, the word is magic.
Cute. From Rosie.
Right.
From past.
That's like the perfect fucking word for this conversation.
Past
Yeah,
Winker.
sure is.
Rosie gave it to
Well,
us.
I believe in magic. Oh, good old Rosie.
Yeah.
I know, like, you and I used to kind of indulge in a lot of, like, you know, burning of the old man sage and tarot and that kind of stuff. Like, has your... I guess, what is that? Like the chaos magic or...
That was just us wanting to get things.
What do you mean, like material things?
Yeah, you know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you think like chaos magic and that kind of stuff is actually a real way of programming reality?
I don't know. I need to explore that again because I did it and I'd say half the time it was good and half the time it didn't work.
Yeah.
I'm laughing because I remembered one of the things that you did.
Wait,
What was that?
1 year, like, I'd had a shit year and I'd broken up with my boyfriend who we were all mates with, and I was like, Nick, I'm feeling shit, and it was almost New Year's, and you're like, Jen, all you need to do is do what I did last year because it meant that I had a great year, is I just made sure that I masturbated and then came at the stroke of midnight and focused on all the good things that I wanted to happen for the year ahead.
Yeah, sigil magic.
And it worked. So just do that. And I was
really?
I was like, thanks, Nikki.
But that's
That was actually a massive lie. Like, what happened is that like I didn't go to the party. Like that was at you and your ex-boyfriend's house. I was like, no, I got to welcome the year in properly, and like I tried to whack off at midnight, and then I like something happened. I think I got stoned, and then I forgot about midnight, and then people started cheering. And I was like, "Oh shit!" And then I like came too late, and then I just realized I was horribly alone, and I was just covered in semen by myself in an apartment at midnight when I should have been at a party like with my friends.
You told me to do that after this.
After that, I was like, well. It's only on the way up from here, you know, like it kind of reverse worked, you know, because that was like the low point of the year, the new year, and then it could only go up from there.
Thanks, Nikki.
Sigil magic, I think sigil magic works. I mean, if you're determined to, like, I think it's a way of kind of directing your intent. It's going, I'm going to go out of my way to make a thing happen. But I used to believe, like, fully that, you know, jacking off to a series of abstract symbols did alter reality.
I think it can
now
work.
I'm not so sure.
I think
Really?
it works. Well, I think there's conditions of magic that you have to basically sharpen your willpower.
Yeah.
You have to sharpen your concentration. So it's not just like whacking off. You have to like do all these concentration exercises, really narrow your
Yeah, you have
single
to.
pointed concentration.
It
You have to
forces
train
you to
for
get
it.
some clarity about what you're trying to achieve.
And also,
but where does
yeah.
the wanking come in?
Although you have to reach an altered state to power these sort of abstract symbols.
Nice.
Do you know
It
what
doesn't
this-
have to be wanking.
Do you know what this is? Sigil magic?
Yeah, you've talked to me about it before. And I'm not saying I'm not into it. I'm just saying.
For anyone,
Let's try it right now.
daisy chain of fucking
There's enough
sigil.
paper to wipe up the semen.
For anyone listening that doesn't know what sigil magic is, it's basically you write an intent on a piece of paper, you remove the vowels, you turn the remaining consonants into a witchy symbol and do something to charge it. And it's supposed to, you know, channel intent.
Forget about it.
And create a thing to happen.
Makes
I think,
sense.
Well, yeah, I know. It's so fucking weird. There was
It's
a time
only
like,
so ridiculous because of how much like vitriol you have to people who are religious.
I know.
That's
You're
not religious.
You're like, no, it's not. No, it makes perfect sense. It's not as wacky as religion. Wanking off to a symbol without vowels.
That's pretty wacky.
Sounds like.
May I just say, it's very strange when you actually feel yourself sexually turned on by abstract symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd fucking
Especially
hope
if
so.
that's-
It's fucking weird.
It should be weird.
Like squares and fucking little
Yeah.
fish hooks and shit. Like, it's fucking strange.
Are you turned on by it?
There was a time in like 07, 08 where I was fully on board with sigil magic.
What else was? Yeah, come on.
I was having something of a mental breakdown at that time. And I remember I wanted to get a job as a dog trainer and I had no qualifications. And I wrote, I want to be a dog trainer on a piece of paper, removed all the vowels, turned it into a witchy symbol. And I was kind of I wanked and I was half on the fence over it. And about halfway through, suddenly the symbol became very erotically charged.
Yummo.
And it was very strange to me.
And then work?
I got the
He
job.
became a dog trainer.
I became a dog trainer.
I was like, I need more gigs, and I just like whacked off, and then literally an hour later, fucking this guy from Queensland is like, hey, you want to come up and do some gigs in Queensland like in a couple of weeks? I was like, what? Okay. Wow, my dick is a magic wand.
Okay, hypothetically, like, if you're going to go down the route of saying that that is real, like, what do you think is happening?
I don't know.
I think it's just clarity, isn't it? It's just going, what do I want? What do I want to achieve? This.
Well, see, that's what I think it is. But back then, I kind of thought, no, you're literally reprogramming the Matrix.
Isn't it like
Well,
the...
I wouldn't say you're reprogramming. You're like re-channeling it, because the thing is, it doesn't come from anywhere. And I had another one where it's like, I need money, and so I was like, fuck it, let's give it a shot. And then like the next day, my brother was like, oh, hey, well, everyone gave you money for Christmas, but you're in England, so just wire it into your bank account, you know? And I was like, oh, it didn't come from, like, fall into my lap. It came from somewhere.
Yeah.
But, you know, so I feel like it's redirecting the flow of energy. But it also has to do with, like, I don't know. We get into pretty weird thinking here, but at the end of all this stuff is, like, all about results-based. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's what true, like, chaos magic is.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's just a way of kind of channeling your desire into actual results. Right. You know, it's the difference between, you know, wanting to win the lottery ticket and not buying a ticket and, you know, actually buying a ticket and entering the contest.
Yeah. But then forgetting about it. That was the most important thing that I learned.
See, that's the part I can't fucking, you know. Like, how do you detach from
You've got
desire?
to forget your desire.
Yeah, but how do you do that?
I don't know. Distract yourself. Just come up with another desire.
Yeah, right.
Get a job. I probably should.
Yeah, I don't know. I would like to be one of those guys like Alan Moore or Grant Morrison that could fully lean into it and just like embrace it fully.
Yeah.
But every time I go into it past a certain point, that cynicism kicks off, and it's like, this is fucking stupid. Like I could never do that whole fucking, putting on a cloak and facing east with a burning candle. You know what I mean? It's just like, it was so lame to me that I could never fully get on board with that. Or like there was this book we used to read called City Magic, which is about doing rituals.
Postmodern magic.
Postmodern magic is fucking great.
That's a good book. Yeah.
That's a great book because that one basically just says, hey, this is all just a metaphor. Don't get too caught up in the fucking nonsense of it. But City Magic was, cats are magical creatures that walk between the raindrops.
Yeah.
Consult them for advice. And it's just like, it's that Wiccan weirdness.
Well, I mean...
you can do it metaphorically, but it's like, as soon as you start taking it too literally.
Well, I've had conversations with Tree.
Hilarious.
You've had conversations with trees? Absolutely.
And they're like weird conversations.
I feel like all of this shit is just looking for things that we want and manipulating the tools around it. Like, you talk to a tree, but it's like you're talking to the tree, hearing what you want to hear.
No, let me tell you what the tree told me.
Okay.
All right, so I was gathering
Did it
incense.
tell you to get a job?
No, I don't need a tree to tell me that. I was gathering incense from it.
Of course.
And then from like the sap, really good cedar quality resin, and you give it like tobacco as an offering. Yeah. And so I was going around giving tobacco and scraping off the resin, and then the tree said very clearly to me, "Why does everything have to be a fucking transaction with you people?"
Yeah, right.
Well, not fuck, you didn't say fucking.
I'm just going to say, the tree sounds awfully similar to how you feel about money.
No, but...
and exchanges in life.
No, I don't think so. No, I've changed.
It sounds exactly
I have.
something you would say.
Been working on my abundance shit.
I feel like we're all just looking to hear what we want to hear, and we just manipulate the ways in which we hear it.
I think
Even
we'll never
if it's
know.
magic, or if it's talking to a tree, or if it's religion. I mean... Looking at religion is the clearest way. People can all say they're Christian and believe the most polar opposite shit. It's like you're just looking for something. It's the same with magic.
Yeah.
I needed money, so I asked for magic from the magic gods. But you also needed money, and it was New Year's, and your family had money for it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like you can look you can look for the. I'm not saying I don't believe in energy stuff because I actually do, but just for like devil's advocate's sake, you can look for links for things that you can see when you choose to see, and you can say you can be skeptical and go, it's bullshit, it's just a coincidence. I feel like it's all a matter of how we choose to perceive.
Well, I think skepticism is just as a subjective position as magical thinking, and at the end, we'll never know. I think it's just a function of these belief systems. Do you like to live in an enchanted world, or do you like to live in an empty nihilist world? And I lived in an empty nihilist world for a while. It was really depressing.
I was never more fucking like sad and despondent than when I thought, we're just fucking nothing means anything.
Let's just get high and fucking masturbate to abstract symbols.
But I think the difference between religion and magic, or the practice of magic, and this is magic with a K, not fucking pulling rabbits out of hats.
Not lame magic with a C.
But I think the difference between it is, I think if you're practicing magic, assuming you're not lost up your own ass, as a lot of people
with a K,
do become
clearly
with
you're
it.
not.
Yeah, thank you. I do think it is the difference between channeling your own will and empowering yourself to get a thing done, rather than defaulting to praying to an entity that will deliver a thing to you.
But don't you think you're still asking for something to be delivered to you from a few external things?
Well, I mean,
like energy and. I mean, I'm not saying they're the same. I'm just
the way I always interpreted it was a metaphorical way of kicking yourself in the butt and getting yourself moving on something that you wanted to get done. Rather than just, I'm helpless blowing through the wind like a leaf.
Taking control.
God, help me, give me what I want. It's actually going, I'm proactively programming my mind to do the thing that I want to get done.
But also, we're not very well-schooled magicians. Like, there are cultures where they spend their entire fucking lives doing this. From like the stories I've heard from friends who've firsthand witnessed this shit in the Amazon, with like fucking shamans psychically attacking each other with like psychic darts.
Yeah.
And my friend was in the Amazon, and he was drinking ayahuasca with his famous maestro Don Bachin, and then he was about to go drink, and then they brought in this kid who'd just been bitten by this really highly venomous snake.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, you just take care of her. Like, don't worry about me. I'll just drink the ayahuasca tomorrow." And he's like, "No, I'll take care of you both." And then he went into the Maloka, and like,
what's a Maloka?
Maloka's like the temple where you drink the brew. So you drink the ayahuasca, and then he said that he watched this guy heal this fucking kid by just blowing tobacco smoke over a leg. and like singing into the wound with like tobacco smoke and prayer. And then he reckoned that he was using him to purge out all the venom because he just
because he was getting sick.
he was getting really violently ill. And then the next morning, like this basically kid who was dying, whose leg was like swollen, like fucked up, was fine. Was just like giggling and eating a thing. And then later on, there's lots of crazy stories about that stuff.
Do you think there's anything to that idea that like that whatever the powers that be, the ones that run the show behind the scenes, that they've actually, because there's this theory that they actually employ sigil magic and a lot of these kind of techniques on the population as a means of control. So like something like the McDonald's logo is a hyper corporate sigil. It's a symbol. It's an abstract symbol that has no actual meaning, but it evokes this feeling in everyone. Where, a feeling of nostalgia,
totally.
a feeling of warmth, a feeling, and then it leads to action. You think of that symbol and you start salivating. It's a spell.
It's a bewitchment spell.
It's a total hex that's being put on.
And there's a lot of
population.
hexes. Like
Go. No, you go.
Do you think that it's a spell or that people are just... so my way of thinking is more like I feel like we don't... we utilize such a small part of our brain and some people are able to utilize far more of it. And maybe my thinking is more rather than them bewitching people or whatever you want to call it, we're just all sort of functioning on minimal effort in terms of looking into stuff. And I don't know if I'm explaining this properly.
No, there is that.
I feel like there is a certain conditions that have been created which make us only using 10% of our brain.
Yeah, and there's something in us that doesn't necessarily strive to look into it more. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know
I
if
think
it's
that's because
comfort.
there's definite like a war of consciousness right now, and like there's all these different ways they do it, from like, even just using the fucking Gregorian calendar, which completely disconnects us from any natural lunar cycle.
How?
What do you mean?
Like, I don't understand. I don't know
it's
what that
like
means.
just an arbitrary like system of numbers. It's not connected to like the lunar or the solar cycles.
Right.
So that disconnects us from nature. Then there's the complete eradication of all indigenous knowledge, which is basically all about connecting us to land and country and to spirit. And once you have them, you're like basically a lot more solid and grounded and you're less susceptible to manipulation.
Of course, yeah.
And then there's all the fucking advertising and the constant food and the sex everywhere with the,
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Whether it's probably some fucking whacked out conspiracy theory, but the theory that I like to think about is that the powers that be know that all this stuff is actually effective and true, and that's why all the knowledge has become arcane and forbidden over the last few hundred years, because they don't want the general population to know how easy it is to manipulate your mind through symbols.
I don't think Murdoch and stuff are like that. I think they're just rich kids who got lucky and maybe they're already in the cogs. I don't think they're as aware or as in control. It was Zuckerberg. I don't think.
No, I don't think there's a. I don't think that like look to have like massive controlling families. I don't think there's like some arch conspiracy where everyone gets together and let's control everything.
Yeah. I don't think they're doing like a reptile
thing that happens.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
think we're too much of a base level, low level scum to really find out what's really going on. Never gonna get the chance to peer behind the machinery. Oh, that's what they're doing, so. I don't know, but yeah.
I feel like for the first time in recent years, I've discovered like how powerful your brain can be.
In what way?
In terms of painting your surrounds or your inner state.
Yeah.
And every day I kind of like, I don't know, I'm way more aware of it and it's something I think about a lot. I mean, I do yoga and wanky shit like meditate in the mornings and stuff.
Wanky?
But I feel like I'm very aware of, how your brain can paint I don't know, like a shade on what your day will be.
What's that thing?
Oh, the mind is very powerful.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, I'm just becoming more and more aware of that. And Ben and I were talking about this ages ago because Benny was talking about ayahuasca? No. DMT with Rosie on one of our old Oinka episodes. And I was saying how I'm not into that stuff, but one time I felt just naturally like I reached a really euphoric state, and it was only small, but it was fucking amazing. And I was like riding high on nothing. And so I'm always sort of looking, for that, because it's like, I don't know.
Well, look, I spent a month in the desert last year, just nothing, like those, no technology, nothing. And by the end,
what were you doing all day?
I was just walking along these areas which were what they wanted to turn into a uranium mine with some activists and the local indigenous people, and then they were also teaching us about the song lines. It was just a month of...
Wait. What are song lines?
Song lines are like the maps which the Aboriginals would use to traverse the country. So it's basically a story, a mythic story which reflects a landscape sung in a way. So, for example, if they were like to be like, yeah, that would mean like 3 hills to the left. I'm a very bastardized version of this, and it would also be a myth. And then you get to one end, and then you have to call the next tribe over, and if they respond, then they could teach you the next part of the map. So you could. There's song lines which stretch all the way from Perth all the way to Alice Springs, and
It's amazing.
It's really incredible stuff, man.
Yeah.
But like I didn't know what day it was by day 3. I didn't know what time it was. There's no technology, and then I was like, oh shit, this is the dream time. There's no history. It's just this different way of being, and by the end, I felt like I was on fucking 5 grams of mushrooms. Like I was just like I could feel the energies.
Do you think it's just because you were in the moment and you were just so aware of like surrounds and not, I don't know.
Yeah, I think also because there was
think?
nothing to do, and so your mind just like my dreams were so vivid, and it was like my brain was like just processing and throwing out a lot of crap, and then by the second week, I was just super calm, really chilled out.
Did you experience boredom in the beginning, or were you just kind of like taking it all in?
Not really. It was just really beautiful. It was just like a desert. There was nothing in the desert except like we saw one hill for a month.
Whoa!
Fuck.
And when we found the hill, we celebrated.
Yeah,
It's a hill.
yeah.
All hail a hill.
After a month, you'd be pretty. Yeah.
But I do think, like, in that whole magic thing, I might not have been explaining it properly before, that whole kind of like, the powers that be putting a fucking hex on us all.
I don't think.
But I do think the culture. I do think removing yourself from that removes yourself from the spell that you're put under when you're living in this,
for sure.
Because it is just a story we're telling ourselves, and it is very difficult not to feel stressed out by it. And I know, like every morning when I wake up, you say you wake up and look out the window, the first thing I do is lunge for a device and go to a news site to see if the fucking world blew up overnight.
Well, not that.
I try not to do that.
But you know what I mean? It's like this, and I'm aware that it's like, it's a hex I'm putting on myself.
Yeah, see, this is why. This is what we were talking about, where it was like how much you can not control your mind, but I choose
prepare for disaster
to try and not engage with my phone for at least the first like 30 minutes of being awake, because I just think it's so toxic what you're putting in.
Yeah,
and also I have no clear thought, because it's so much coming at you and you're barely awake. I can't take it all in.
Is that hard for you to do?
No, because I made a decision like a month ago where I was like, I don't really want to do that anymore. And then the more I did it, the more enjoyable it's become. It's not enjoyable to wake up and scroll through Facebook. There is nothing there to see.
The sleep is still in my eyes.
That's how I measure how depressed I am when I'm actually going through the news feed, reading about these things.
Yeah.
Like I try not to go through the news feed, but when I do go through the news feed, I'm like, okay.
Wait, you mean Facebook news feed?
Yeah.
Like other people's thoughts?
Yeah, that's when I'm like,
that's
all
a zero-sum
I need
game
some help.
immediately.
Like I need to go out to nature.
It's a low point.
This is sad.
Other people's
I
brain
need to do
farts.
some-
It's fucking awful.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend going to every person that you're friends with and just unfollowing them.
I did
So
that.
it's a blank
I
page.
unfollowed everyone except for Sue Thomas. And that was beautiful. But even then, I was like, and then I befriend more people, and then it just became too much of a chore to unfollow her on.
Yeah.
But
it's so easy to get caught in that. Well, for me anyway, I'm finding like it's and when I say, I was saying before that I need to fucking deal with this shit. I don't know how to deal with this shit while still existing within this construct, because I feel and I'm such a weak kind of addict. I know how bad it is for me to go for that phone in the morning.
Yeah.
And my head is there going, don't do it, man. You're in a really good mood. You're like lucid.
But that's because there's an addiction there.
How do you deal with like Chris read this thing where he was saying the human brain can normalize anything within like 8 weeks or something.
Yeah.
So
I'd say 10 days.
Oh, cool. Well, for me, I think it's a bit longer.
Is that really true?
But I'm trying to like do the whole not wake up and go to my phone thing for 8 weeks and see what happens. It all started because we had this is so lame. We had a mattress against a wall that we forgot about. just forgot about it and then we had to get rid of it. And then when we got rid of it, both of us were like, holy shit, how white is that wall? How did we not notice how this is like, and then he like did all this crazy research and it was just like our brains had calculated what the wall is. The wall is like a feral old mattress color, not a bright white, you know, and it's startling to your brain when you like rearrange those things.
Oh, they've done experiments where they put glasses on someone that turn your vision upside down.
Oh yeah.
And within And
I hate that idea.
But if people persist with it, I think it's like you said, like 10 days, your vision corrects and it just like goes around the right way. And then when you take the glasses off, everything goes upside down again for 10 more days.
I mean,
it's my idea of hell.
It became normal for people to live in concentration camps.
Yeah, the human capacity to normalize anything is fucking incredible. But conversely, I haven't figured out how to normalize living in all of this, and it is increasingly bothering me.
Yeah. I don't think you can actually. Well, yeah. Again, I knew one shaman who could live in the center of LA. I said, how can you live in this fucking hellhole? He goes, oh, I have to like fucking go to the gym for 3 hours. I have to swim for 2 hours. I have to do meditation for an hour. So he had all these discipline practices. It took up like 4 or 5 hours a day just to keep him sane from going cracking by living in the middle of LA.
It feels like a lot of people can't see how aggressively hostile the culture is in general.
Yeah,
like from the advertising to the news to everything, it feels like violence. Like it feels like a mental assault. And I don't know if people are just immune to it. Like my mum can sit in the fucking her kitchen with the TV fucking blaring. Like you can hear it from outside the house. It's so fucking loud. And the ads are screaming at her, telling her she's shit. The news is telling her that there's a fucking rapist hiding in her backyard that's going to kill her immediately.
News again today.
You know what I mean? But it doesn't seem to fucking... And I'll come over and have dinner and I'll be like yelling at shut up, fuck off. Oh, yeah. And she thinks that I'm crazy.
Yeah, I had a moment like that while my parents were watching TV and it was like this horrible like movie and the opening scene, this girl gets like fucking cut to death by this Yakuza guy in front of her kid. And I'm like, oh, God, this is a really horrible movie. And they're like, oh, I don't know why you always have to criticize what we're watching. I was just like, what is this?
But that's the definition of insane in a society, where you're sitting there saying, I don't actually want to watch someone get fucking hacked to bits with a machete and you're the weird one.
Yeah.
I think people don't realize that what you're putting into your brain or what we see has a huge effect. Yeah. Because they're not thinking about everything they're taking in because they're taking in so much. I mean, I do the same thing, but like, I mean... Yeah, I think very few people think about everything that they're taking in throughout a day.
Well, it's mass desensitization, you know, and it's gradual as well. Like, I mean, it starts from birth. And then also it's been increasing because the people making shows like, oh, fuck, people are getting bored. We better throw in some more rape now, you know.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
or some incest rape, you know.
You know, and people talking like...
It's so gross.
Everyone was so into like all those NCIS shows and Dexter and stuff. It's like, man, this is fucking repugnant.
Game of Thrones and all that sort of stuff.
Game of Thrones, like I can't do it.
Yeah,
like how many fucking heads do you need to see get crushed? It's like, and you just, I don't know. Like
I know. We used to love that shit as well. Remember when
but the violence was different. Like I know you and I.
Good old healthy violence.
No. It was definitely violent. But like you look at movies from like the late 80s, and there's kind of like big fucking testosterone action movies, and they're so over the top that it's. You know, it goes into this weird cartoon logic.
Yeah. They're cartoony and they're not realistic looking.
It's like the close-up of the eye quivering as the woman's fucking tits get cut off and her weeping.
Jesus!
No, but that's what it is now. It's man, have you seen like a single episode of Dexter? It's the most upsetting thing I've ever fucking seen.
Oh, people are
like, I love that show. It's so dark. Well, yeah, it's fucking dark, man. It's really fucked up. It's about a guy wrapping people in plastic and killing them.
Yeah.
And that's your Sunday night entertainment, and then you don't think that that's kind of getting into your head, and I don't know. I just feel like even if people aren't consciously acknowledging that is disturbing them, I don't know how it can't be disturbing them.
Well, you know, I did ayahuasca with someone recently.
Really?
Seems to be a recurring thing with you, Dick. But anyway, she was a journalist, like for the ABC, and her whole trip, she said that all she saw was all the horrible headlines that she'd have to filter through and edit. She was just like,
oh, that's
she's
terrible.
just for like, but no, it was like she was throwing it out of her brain.
Yeah.
She said it was like literally...
she was purging it.
Yeah, it's literally 5 hours going, man strangled to death, blah, 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 raped to death, blah, blah, murder. And then it was gone. And then she was like, I feel much better now.
Yeah, right.
So it goes in. It has to. Like,
it has to
Of
go
course it goes in. It all goes in and gets stored somewhere.
Yeah, into that, that low-level subconscious anxiety that seems to pervade everything if you live in this.
But that's what I think is happening now.
Sort
I
of
think
malaise.
everyone is stuck in malaise, and I think the general population is basically suffering like some kind of weird post-traumatic stress or kind of nervous breakdown. I don't know if it's a product of the culture or if it's
product of culture.
Well, I think there's a lot going on. I think how they talk about epigenetics and genetic memory and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like you think about like
Backlog
World
of
War
Trauma.
I and World War II, where like two of the very few people on Earth weren't affected by one of those. Which, and if you believe that trauma gets passed down
it does.
generationally,
It 100%
then
does.
you would say,
look at you.
Yeah, exactly. No, we've talked about this
Granddad was an
before.
Auschwitz, man.
Yeah, but we've talked about this before. But it's this thing of the whole world is traumatized. Like, so obviously, some groups are more traumatized
But
than
people
others.
have always had trauma.
Exactly. So
Like-
so is it any wonder that 7-8 billion people are all fucking like on a
Build
knife's
up.
edge, really fucking anxious?
But we probably always have been.
I think it's a whole bunch of factors.
Like,
as well.
I think there's always been different levels of anxiety. I mean,
I
even...
think sorry.
No, go.
No, you go.
No, sorry.
No, really.
Oh, Nick!
I don't want to traumatize you.
It's too
Well,
late.
I was going to say, I think everyone's a massive pussy these days too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Too fucking sensitive.
Like listen to what my grandparents went through.
Oh, I know.
Like my grandmother was like sold into a circus, and they like
Sorry.
when she was 12.
so
Seriously.
a circus.
She didn't even realize. She was like lured onto a train, given a lollipop, and then as she was unwrapping it, she just was like, "What? The train's moving!" And the band like, "See you
horrible.
later." It was during a famine. They kind of had no choice. Well, I'm
Yeah.
sure they had some kind of choice,
Not a great choice.
but she doesn't. They just got on with their life. She just I'm in the circus now. Well,
What was her role in the circus?
she was like an acrobat.
Wow.
That's where she met my granddad. But it was like they're just hard people. They're like 95
Wasn't
now.
your
But you
grandfather
don't
a
even have
clown?
to go that far back.
No, he was a strong man.
I mean, even if you look at your... Are you serious?
Yeah.
Is this the guy that used to carry pockets full of curry powder around and blow them in people's faces?
Oh no, that was the great grand. He went crazy.
What were you saying, Jen?
You don't have to look that far back to see that people were a bit harder. Even if you look at your parents, my mum's fucking hard as nails. The shit she's been through.
Yeah.
And she doesn't complain about it. She's just kind of like, yeah, you just get on with it. I mean, there's definite signs of some stuff's going
Yeah.
on.
No, I think
But
But
it
I
was...
think maybe it's time for us to go through it and to process it all, because there's probably a huge backlog of trauma.
that's what I think it is.
I think so, yeah.
And it's like generation after generation of people raised by traumatized people.
Yeah, passing
and
it
especially
down.
when when you think like it's probably only in the last 20, 30 years that people are actually talking about this shit. Like when people were coming back from Vietnam, and that wasn't even that long ago, no one fucking talked about it. It was just like, nah, that's done now. Get on with
Yeah.
it. Let's
Yeah.
raise kids. Let's pretend that never happened. It's like, dude, you're fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, so it's only very recent that people are talking about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there must be a massive backlog of it, but I don't even know how you fucking. Most people that you say this to, they think it sounds crazy.
Yeah. But there's science to back it up now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know if people think it's that crazy, do they?
I've said it to people before, like, when people are like, oh, you're like super anxious or whatever, and they'll be like, and I'll make some reference to, there's Holocaust in my genes.
There's
You're like,
heaps of
"Oh,
evidence
fucking,
that says
yeah,
that
that's
stuff's
fucking
carried
just an
on.
excuse. That's not your shit.
But yeah, I mean, even without the epigenetics, your grandparents would have passed that anxiety that they had onto your mom, and then your mom would have passed that anxiety to you.
Yeah.
So-
Exactly right. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. You don't need the genetics for that to be still a fucking true fact. Oh man, I don't know any way. I don't know any way out of this. I feel so fucking hopeless by all this at the moment.
Well,
I don't.
I keep trying to fucking put a positive spin on it for the podcast, but I don't.
I don't feel hopeless at all. You feel about magic or about life?
Just this.
You really
this
need to sleep.
culture. Like
I don't feel
I'm
that
finding
bad.
myself increasingly incapable of even pretending that I enjoy participating in
But
it. It's
people
fucked.
are looking to return to things that we should do organically that are good for them mentally.
But how do you do it? Living in
If you
a
look
city.
at you can't artificially do it, but there is a natural occurrence that's happening within people. I mean, this is
But it's not going to change anything. I mean, I think what's going to happen is it's going to be a massive disaster. There's going to be a huge cull, and then people are going to be, oh shit, and then something bad will happen.
people are just
I like how the cull isn't the bad thing that
I
happened. The cull
know,
is
the cull's a
the
good
cull's
thing.
just the cull.
Well, maybe something beautiful, utopian. Like I always had, like, not to like. I did like earthquake relief work, and I was like, fuck, actually everyone's like really getting along. And in my head I was like, man, this part of my head was like, man, if the apocalypse happened and whoever survivors were brought together to like work and build something, that'd be kind of like I wouldn't say
it's
cool,
like after
but it'd kind of bring people together.
Yeah.
And there'd be a sort of community that isn't really here.
Through everything you've done
a bit more
with like
space.
ayahuasca and the Mother Teresa House of the Dying and all this like very fucking intense stuff, do you have more, less, or the same hope for just humanity in general than you did before? Or, when you were still just kind of being a selfish cunt doing comedy?
It fluctuates.
Yeah.
I went through idolism again, and then I'm going through cynicism again.
Wait, what do you mean idolism?
Oh fuck, maybe we can shift things, and
idealism.
Yeah, idealism. But now I'm like, well, fuck, what do you do? And I'm just like, well, all you can really do is do your best. But no, I mean, like, try and help. Try and help make it better. And
I think it's about making this moment as good as it can be.
Oh, and the reward is in the act anyway. Like, it doesn't matter if we end up all fucking perishing anyway. But
I don't even think it's specifically if you're working with people in need or not. Like, there's a woman who I see who irritates me every morning. She makes me feel irritable and irritated.
Yeah.
And I make a conscious choice in the morning, I'm not even kidding, to be like, be kind.
Love and acceptance.
Like, I have that in, not even that far. I'll just have a word, which will be like, this is very pathetic and revealing, but my 2 words that I shift between are listen and kindness.
No, it's not
so
pathetic.
Of a morning when she's driving me mental and she's asking me about the weather for the 14th time, I will have in my head, just be kind. So I'll be like, do you want a cup of tea? And I'll just keep that going in my head.
Have you called her on her repetitious?
No, she's not. She wouldn't really, she's one of those people where her mental capabilities are somewhat limited. But like, or even listen.
I have to go to the toilet and then I just leave.
No.
Yeah, see, I'm not like you. I feel like I'm dying inside when I'm around that kind of thing. And I have such a low tolerance threshold.
Because then you have to fake things and then that's draining.
Yeah.
All it does is eat you alive to the point where you're in the foulest mood and that person is still floating on clouds.
Yeah.
So the thing that helped me was me
hissing at her,
taking it away from me and being like, it's not me, it's her, just be kind to her.
That's a form of that is like the dictionary definition of like a form of magic. Like you're doing a spell on. No, but you are.
Yeah.
Like it's
it's a mental fucking.
It's a mental technology.
Which butter?
You're doing a spell on yourself because like the thing is,
you're doing a spell. I'm making a conscious choice
you're
to not be a
consciously
dick.
removing. No, but you're consciously because like.
I thought this was a spell. I'm saying don't be a dick and listen to an old woman.
But that's a spell.
That's not a fucking spell.
It's a fucking spell. I think it's a spell.
I didn't wank. It's not a spell.
Yeah, well,
maybe you should wank.
Maybe you're so adept at magic
maybe
that you don't need to wank.
My skills are so huge. I just have to think about coming
I think that
I
might actually solve the problem though. If she started talking about the weather and you just started wanking, maybe she'll stop doing it.
I mean, a few problems.
Every time she says that, just start wanking, she'll get the message.
I don't think she would. She picks scabs off her own head and eats them.
Oh, okay. So she mentally...
There's not a lot of fucking...
head scab eater, huh?
Yeah.
One of those.
I'm telling you, it's a fucking spell. It's the reverse of a black... It's the reverse of a black magic spell because I put spells on myself all the time where I remove every emotion other than anxiety and rage and then wonder why I'm fucking anxious and full of rage.
It isn't a spell. It's a conscious choice in terms of how you view the world. That's what I'm saying where I was like, I'm not that... I'm not like hating on.
It's not a conscious choice. Sorry, go on.
Of course it is.
No, it's like it's just a brain path that's been worn down again and again.
No, it's not because I have to physically make a mental decision to be kind to her. I hear myself go.
Is it real kindness?
You know what? I don't know, but I feel better in the end, and so does she.
Does it become real kindness? It might not start as real kindness, but does it turn into real kindness?
It shifts my thinking from just leave me alone to she's, it brings me back into the moment and removes me from my rambling anger. So my anger, if I let it go, will just go forever where I'm like this, and I'll be like fuming. Whereas it will bring me back to the moment where it's like, this is an older person who's probably lonely, who looks forward to this.
Yeah.
And if I could just be kind for 2 minutes, her day would be much better.
Yeah. Do you find I don't think we've ever talked about. We've talked about our anger before. But,
a little bit.
Yeah. But I don't think I've ever asked you, like, when you are presented with a situation that gets that fucking that temperature rising.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you have like a split-second choice whether to go with it or not?
Yeah,
Now, yes.
definitely.
Yeah.
Back a few years ago, no. I had no control over my anger. Do you remember?
Oh no, I don't remember at all.
I had
Us screaming at each other in the middle of the street at 2 a.m. every
I had
fucking night.
no control over my anger at all, and I was very angry. I had like huge amounts of rage. I didn't care. I mean, it was so stupid. Like looking back, I was so dumb and young. I'm surprised, no psychotic man didn't punch me in the head. I remember screaming.
If you were a dude, you would have been fucking laid
I remember
out.
screaming at the casino because that giant man tried to intimidate me in the corner.
Yeah.
And I remember yelling down the stairs of Starbar, "You're a pin-dicked fucking asshole," screaming.
There were many
And
times.
that's totally insane.
There were many times me and other male friends of yours were like, Jen, you need to shut up because it's us that are going to get our
I
fucking
know,
caved in.
and it's horrible, and it's so horrible.
Thanks for recognizing me.
In my
10 years too late.
I'm sorry, guys. I am sorry. In my defense, that guy was a dick, and he did
was a
corner
dick,
me,
and
and
he
he tried
just-
to scare the shit out of me, and I was like, "You've picked the wrong woman. I have rage issues, I don't even care." But now, there's a definite choice. I would never behave that way anymore.
But it's like a split-second choice. That's the fucking
I still
hard
get the
part of it.
fire. I still get the rage where it's like, "Oh shit, I'm really angry. I need to walk away." I did a gig the other night. It wasn't even that bad. It was a bunch of uni students, and I just became enraged halfway through. I was just
At them?
there was,
At them.
Yeah, there was this one smarmy guy who kept grabbing this woman and being cocky as fuck, and I just wanted
Mommy
to
cocky guys.
rip him apart.
Did you?
No, I had to because I was getting paid, and I was like, it was a gig, and it was a fine gig. It was fun, but back. Like
Gotta
a
be
few
funny
years
rage.
ago, I would have just let it out and not really thought of any of the consequences. And I wouldn't have been better. I wouldn't have been better for it.
Yeah, I don't think...
Do you? I definitely am aware of
Do I have a split-second decision to... Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It feels like a lot of the time it feels like... But it feels like...
But you're choosing the anger.
No, it's not that I'm choosing the anger. It's that it's like the anger is a passing freight train with a handle on the side.
Yeah.
And all I need to do is reach out and hold onto the handle and I'm gone. And I'm on that train and I'm on that train until that train derails. So it's not even necessarily a conscious choice to go with it. It's a split-second weakness in not choosing to
Pull it
just
back.
pull back.
Yeah.
So it's allowing that slight indulgence, which then fucking snowballs out of all control.
Yeah,
and
you
suddenly
got to keep it in check.
It's not just rage though. It's anxiety. It's obsessive thoughts over things that I don't want to be obsessing over. Whatever it is.
Yeah, but rage is the most obvious for external.
What's your one?
People? Love. You just
you're
hold
not-
on
I wouldn't
to
even-
that.
I wouldn't even
I've-
say that's love.
But I don't think I've ever seen you rage
delusional.
out.
No, I have clicked out a couple times, and it's usually
I've never seen you that angry. I don't think.
last time I clicked out was the guy kept borrowing money off me and not paying me back. And then, I never borrowed money off you.
No, it's fine. Not money.
Oh, actually, you borrowed money off me last time.
Oh yeah, I did. You
Oh,
probably
that's
did.
all right. Don't worry.
Right.
But
You guys can sort it out.
yeah, and then I just like he kept saying the thing I didn't like was I'll pay you tomorrow, and then he just didn't, and then I just clicked out. Also, I hadn't slept much, and I was smoking a lot of weed at the time, so.
How did you feel after you clicked out?
Good. Well,
See, I feel bad. I
No,
don't-
no,
I don't
I didn't
like
feel-
to click out.
I didn't feel good. It was just like the dark side took over. Really, the dark
Yeah.
side took over. But then the guy was like, oh, "Look, because I feels like my trust had been broken, that sort of thing." And I realized that's my sore spot. If someone like fucking fucks with that, then I click out. And then it's like, look, I promise I'll pay you back tomorrow. Here, keep my computer as a sort of insurance thing. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I was okay.
Yeah, right. I think maybe because you don't get lost in the rage that often.
I
it
get
would feel
lost in
good to-
depression though, and like fucking.
So when we're talking about that like split-second choice to go with something, yours is depression.
Yeah, well, I recently confused like an emotional addiction for love, and totally like fucking
With another human.
no, with a hand puppet. Wasn't that human?
Could have some entity or something with you. I don't
Well,
know.
then an entity came in. But it's all
With a magic symbol.
no, I mean like
A bunch of letters.
but it was. Oh, I should try that though.
3,000 a concert. I was watching Wheel of
That'd make
Fortune.
life a lot easier. I'll say that much. After that, I was like, "Fuck!" But, you know those Japanese guys who've created fucking love bots. I was like, "Well, I could see why that would be popular." It's just easier.
What, to not get involved with another human?
No. Actually, I take back those words.
I'm fucking totally on board with this.
No.
I don't think I've told you fucking what happened.
You haven't.
Oh, with that girl.
Yeah.
No.
So I tell you what happened. It was so fucking weird. I went on a date with this woman, and it was fine.
Yeah.
There was no great fireworks. But then the next time we saw each other, there was a little bit of fireworks. And then the third time we saw each other, it was like, holy fuck. I'm in love. I think I saw you just after this.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm in love with her.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know that insanity of love where it's like, dude, you've spent like 6 hours total with this human. You have no idea who this person is. And I'm already like in my head, I'm like, we'll move in together. I just know it. I've already seen the fucking future. I know that we're together. I mean, we had this very, very crazily intimate night and something but we didn't even have sex.
I'm kidding, I'm just being a shit.
We didn't have sex. But it was like we were just lying with each other and like looking into each other's eyes, and like music was playing and there was soft light, and it was like
soft
and
light.
for the first time in a very long time, I felt myself lean into that rather than recoil from it.
Yeah, me
like,
too.
It was like I like this feeling. I'm not scared. I'm not afraid. I know this all goes well. And then the fourth night we were hanging out with each other, I felt like that for the first hour, and then we sat on the couch, and she said something, I can't remember what she said, and it was like a fucking bubble just burst. And it was like, oh, I don't fucking love this person at all.
But do you think it's because you're just like, you know, romanticizing it and making it so fantastical that she could never live up to those expectations?
Of course. But it wasn't a conscious thing. We both felt it. And we have not contacted each other since then. Yeah. And I think both, I don't doubt for a second that she feels exactly like I do now, where she was just like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, it's a temporary form of insanity.
It's a temporary form of insanity.
Well, not all the time. Well, I realize my problem is that, like, even though I'm like trying to be super vigilant of this, I'll project this idea that this person will complete me. Like, I'm approaching love from a place of lack, which is not love. It's a fucking form of addiction.
Right.
And like, you know,
looking to be filled.
Yeah, and that goes for any addiction. That goes from fucking beer to cigarettes to like going to the gym all the time.
Yeah.
And that's just not real. I don't think that's a healthy place to be, and real love should come from a place of fullness or wellness or some fucking hippie shit that I read somewhere that makes sense to me, but I haven't seen it.
I believe in love.
No, so do I. I believe in it too, but I just...
And
I believe in it too.
You know, I think it can be wonderful. Like,
I believe
love
in
you
love.
guys. I love you guys.
I love you guys too.
Well,
but
I don't know
like,
about that.
my problem at the moment is like the idea of romantic love is I don't...
What's an illusion?
I don't fucking get it.
Well,
and I feel like it's...
I'm thinking I have to heal this missing piece in me. Ayahuasca told me I have to go do a soul retrieval.
What is that?
Basically, this idea that somewhere along the lines through trauma and grief, we've splintered our consciousness and we're missing parts of ourselves that are lost in the ether. And we have to go and find these places, these parts of ourselves which are detracting from our power and are often the sources of things such as addictions, and like reintegrate them back into our life. Before I can
meet someone and love them in a healthy way.
In a healthy way.
Yeah,
because this has happened 25 times in a row, and I'm starting to think it has more to do with me than the other person.
No, I'm the same. The last 3 years has just been...
It's like, oh, it happened again. I can't believe I fell for it again. Like, how could I, like, and it's showing you your wound, and then you have to go fucking figure it out. It's just... pretty much it.
I think it's the thing of it's a hard thing to acknowledge that you might not be fit to be in a relationship.
I don't think a lot of people like.
I don't think most people are fit to be in a relationship.
Name how many functional relationships that you've witnessed. Most of them are just weird forms of codependency.
Yeah.
And like,
or there's a strange contempt that exists within them, which always baffled me. It's like fucking,
or it just happens, you know. And but then again, like fucking 20 years with someone, how does that work? I don't know.
It's crazy.
I think you're friends.
You're just friends. You're just this piece of furniture that talks.
Kind of. But I love all that stuff.
I don't know why I can't find them.
I love like romance and I love all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. You never know what will happen, but The relationship I'm in now started differently to any other relationship. And
That's a good sign.
Ben made fun of me when we started dating because I was like...
God, I made fun of you before you started dating because you were
true.
acting
It was
insufferable.
really pathetic.
You liked him for months and she wouldn't say anything.
I
like him. He likes me. It was like being in fucking high school.
I love your Jen voice. It's just like your mother's voice.
I know.
I've got two voices.
One's me and one's his mother. Yeah, because it felt like I felt really calm and not content, but like I felt very relaxed from the get-go and probably a bit cocky, and Ben fucking hated it. And he was like, oh, it's going to be fucked. It's going to be fucked. And like 3 years later, he's like, oh, it's going to be fucked.
No, I don't. I never say
But
it's going to be
it's
fucked
like,
anymore. I'm very happy for you guys.
No,
I think
you
you
don't
found
now.
your fucking,
But, like-
you found a groove. It's nice.
But it's,
Yeah, so happy for you.
but it's
I am.
But the main difference is when I went into this, I mean, I was a lot younger when I had other relationships, I guess. But when I went into this relationship, I was not, I knew what I wanted from a partner, but the things that I wanted from them had nothing to do with, I felt very content by myself and very happy by myself.
Yeah.
So, whereas in the past, I was probably like, more like, oh, I want a partner who wants to hang out with me and wants me to blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
this time I was like, oh, I just want someone who knows who they are, knows what they want, knows what they like. Like external shit to me. Whereas in the past, I think it had more to do with how they perceived me. I don't know.
I will say.
I
Yeah, them in
explain it.
relation to you.
Yeah.
Not just them as them.
Yeah, whereas
with
this
you.
time I was like, I know what I'd like them to be like in their life. You know, like
Yeah.
have their friends and their interests and, you know,
Separate life.
yeah, be
Not
able to
be
and
codependent.
one of my favorite things when I met Chris was we would debate things.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I liked that because it was like we have
Not
different.
agreeing all the time.
Yeah, like it's fucking strange and it feels kind of fake if you're with someone and it's like, no, I agree.
Yeah,
that's not interesting,
That's
like-
a fucking cult.
Yeah, it's kind of
2-person
creepy,
cult.
you know, like well, you fill that hole, Nikki, and then you get love.
I'm gonna get this love
You
thing.
get that love, Nikki.
what do you-
I'm gonna
But,
take
like-
this and then no.
Do you do you envision yourself having like a conventional relationship?
Fuck no. No.
Yeah.
I don't have a conventional life.
Yeah, well, no, that's what I mean. Like, like for you to you travel so much, for you to be in a relationship, like, would you want someone?
They would have to do what I do.
Which is
I can't
travel a
really
lot.
say.
Live off the grid. But do you want someone who does exactly what you do? Do you think that
Well,
would be
I
exciting?
mean, look, I went out several months ago with, I guess, a straight up and down lady.
Yeah.
And then I was just fucking bored after like 20. I was like, I don't care about these TV shows that you're talking about. Like, I don't watch TV. Like, I can't.
Yeah.
They have to be kind of weird in some way. I mean,
Yeah, you have to be into their quirky shit.
yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I think I've had in my head for such a long time, like this definition of what I think I want. And
Yeah,
recently,
you have. You've talked about it so
yeah.
much that you have this really clear idea.
But that's this short romance that I had. The one where I thought I was in love, and then the bubble got burst very dramatically. It was very brief, but I learnt a lot very quickly.
Yeah.
And I realized, like, oh, you think you know what you want, but what you think you want is actually not what you want at all.
and probably not
not
that
what you
good
need.
for you.
No. Like, I mean, my default is to want someone that will just lie in bed with me eating fucking ice cream and watching
Yeah.
movies. And that is
Enabler.
extremely fucking unhealthy. Exactly. I want a
Yeah.
fucking enabler.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. as
I
well.
want an enabler, and if we're not enabling each other's worst tendencies, then I want to be alone. It's like, that's not a fucking relationship.
Yeah, it's just another.
terrible.
It's a form of drug, really.
Yeah, exactly. It's just having a buddy around that you fuck. Like, that's really all it is. It's
I
not.
freaked out one of the first times Chris and I'd stayed at his house. I woke up the next morning. There was
Wait,
no...
you guys having sex before marriage? Well, I don't know what kind of podcast this is. I'm disgusted.
But there was no food in the house. And he was like, oh, there's no food in the house. And I remember being like, oh, we'll just eat bread all day.
Yeah, that's
And then a
great.
second later, he was like, oh, I'll just go down to the shops and get a bunch of stuff. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you lie in bed, I'll just go to the shops. And I was like, what is this madness? He's offering to go to the shops.
Real man.
There's a bed here and what is he doing? Like I was
Good man.
I was so confused by it. Like I was like,
Wow.
is he secretly
Poor
getting
Jen.
something? I'm like, yeah, I know. Because in the past it'd be like, there's no food, and we'd both just be like, oh. And then that would be it. Like there would be no food. Like that would be
Deliveroo.
yeah.
Menu
Like it was,
log.
that would be the whole day. Like, oh yeah, no food then. Cool. Like,
Got to dig a low maintenance lady.
But I get it because it's
I'll
that,
feed you. I love you.
that like
Here's
that,
a sausage roll.
My hero. Your impression of me is worse than that. My hero.
Here's a sausage roll, some chucky milk. Kiss.
I think it's an addiction to that. Well, for me anyway, like, you know, that, and I know you're very much got, you know, a hedonistic streak. And I think maybe your problem is similar to mine in that I think I get very kind of locked into that first few weeks.
Yeah,
where we
yeah.
can't keep our hands off each other.
Yep.
And if we're not fucking, we're eating. And if we're not eating and fucking, we're watching some cool movies.
Eating and fucking. How do you multitask? What do you focus
I'm
on?
a great lover.
I had an image of you fucking while eating a hot dog.
with the sauce dripping on her below.
Yeah, not even
Yuck.
looking, just looking at the hot dog
It's just
and thrusting.
But I think that's what it is. I think it's that addiction to that part of it where it's just like
Yeah, craving a high.
Yeah, it's-
You're craving a high instead of
No,
like
but
a
it's-
relationship.
And I think what I'm coming to now, and it's taken a few years, is coming out of that and going, oh, that is an unsustainable
It's-
and deeply unhealthy.
yeah.
We've talked about that. It's totally unsustainable. And it's not wanting a relationship, it's wanting a rush.
Yeah. And I think buried under there is actual fear of commitment as well.
Do you think you're too selfish to be in a relationship?
I guess I'll find out, hey. Never really been in a proper relationship, man.
Yeah.
I think I might find it hard to
You've had relationships.
Yeah.
But no,
But
Kind of.
not-
Not a proper one.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd like to try one time. to see what it's like.
It just, I don't know. Like, it just feels like, I don't know. Like, I worry sometimes because I can feel that, like, the ossifying of age happening. Like, that kind of, like, I really like my own company, and it'd have to be someone really fucking special for me to want to spend time with them.
We're pretty individuated people. I mean, all comedians are, I think, in some way. And so...
Well, we've got plenty of friends that are individuated people that have functional, healthy relationships,
Yeah, you're right.
and that aren't codependent and aren't diseased.
How about we just go around breaking them up instead of trying to... That'd be easier.
I think this is a you and me thing more than
Yeah, fuck you, Jen.
I think it's like an addiction thing.
Yeah, definitely.
But do you have
It's
any
craving a high.
anxiety about you're 3 years in
Yeah.
and it's very stable and you guys are very good together, but do you have any anxiety about the future with him or
No, because I've had heartbreak in the past and I've been okay. And I would be
still
so
scared of that.
devastated
Yeah, me
and heartbroken because I love him so much. But I'm also smart enough to know that if it doesn't work, you can't make it. Like the torture you put yourselves through if you try and stay in something that doesn't work. Is
how
so
do you
horrible.
do you think that you're that philosophical about it because of your parents? Like seeing
Probably.
them fucking
I mean, my
hate each
parents
other?
were different because it was like pretty abusive and fucked for my mum. But like, I mean, we've all seen the damage that can happen if you're in a bad relationship, you know. And also it's like the hippie in me is kind of like, there's nothing wrong with needing to be on your own. I mean, don't get me wrong. If we broke up tomorrow, I'd be devastated. And the hardest thing would be my ego. If he was with someone else, I'd be like, oh, it could have been me.
that's rough, right?
You know, it's the ego shit. But the other side of it is I know I'm okay on my own. And I don't know, maybe it's how I grew up. I've seen so many people in horrible relationships and it scares the shit out of me. I've talked to people who've been with their partner for like 5 years. They don't have sex and they tell me things they don't tell their partner. And I'm just like, man, that's supposed to be your best friend. Like that stuff.
That's the part
that stuff horrifies me.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, you know, everything's a risk.
I think
Everything's a
everything's a
risk.
I think
Like it's like
wise words.
would I want to you know, not be with him out of fear, but then being on your own carries fear as well. It's lonely. It's nice to have a mate on your team.
No, absolutely, and you know when I'm like perpetually single, I think that's what I miss more than the sex or more than anything. It's that mateship and that camaraderie of like your buddy.
Just intimacy, like
but
not
it's-
even sexual intimacy, just
Yeah.
Yeah, intimacy. Also, like, it's fun, like, enjoying another human. Like, Chris is quite eccentric, so am I. But some of the stuff he does is just, like, hilarious to me. And I find it interesting going through life, seeing those things happen. So I would miss those things.
But you're very lucky because I think you're right, you know, and I don't know that a lot of people have that philosophy that, you know, that ideally if you're going to be hanging out predominantly with one person, they should be your, you know, quote, best friend, or at least one of your best friends.
Well, your mate, and you should find them pretty damn interesting.
Yeah, exactly. You should be very fascinated and interested by them. And that's, you know, that's very much where I'm at. I think, I don't know if it's I don't know, you know, I have your problem, Nick, where I just get bored by people very quickly, and not even in a romantic sense, just in general.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I've got my people, and it's very hard for anyone else to kind of get past a certain level, and I know that that's a flaw in my...
No, it's natural.
Is it?
Well, yeah,
I think that's natural.
They've analyzed, like, everyone has around 100 friends, and then, like, whatever, 50 middle circle, and then 20 inner circle.
circles.
And that's, like, basically the structure of what tribes would have been back in the day.
And the inner circle are often the people that you've known for,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, there's a history
chunk
there.
of time. There's
So-
history, yeah.
I think it's natural. I mean, also, how much time do you have to have like 1,000 friends?
No, it's impossible.
yeah, it
It's
doesn't.
impossible.
But then it's that thing of like, so not only are you, you know, from that perspective of being single and wanting something, you know, that's actually worthy and good, it's like you're not just looking for a person that you're attracted to or a person that you have chemistry with. You're also looking for a person that is like a friend.
But
like
what I'd say
a dear friend.
to you, Benny, in relation to this, possibly Nikki as well, is that you are shooting the opportunity for that in the foot because you are meeting them and automatically saying they're not interesting to you from the first meeting. Whereas it's like when I met, when I think to how Chris and I started hanging out at comedy stuff, I mean, both of us are quite anxious people. And I said so much dumb shit. Do you know what I mean? And like, if you look at those first few even dates, it's like, it's not, none of me or him is there. But we both knew that we were just like, yeah, but there's something here. And so we'll just give it another go because.
So we should give it like, what, 20 years? And
Just 40, 45. No, but you know what I mean? Like, and then all of a sudden you see them and you decide you want to text them or you want to see them again or you don't. But I think the danger in craving that rush, which I mean, I've done, it's like so hot and exciting. But the danger in going after that rush is one, it's not maintainable, but also, you know, if the person you meet has put everything out there, even if it is great for a while, it's going to fucking drop down to normality eventually. It's like that addict approach of like chasing the rush instead of, I don't know, whatever.
There'll be nothing new to discover.
There's heaps of shit I still discover about my partner now. And we've been together 3 years. And I like that. Where I'll be like, oh, I didn't know you were interested in that. And it's something fucking absurd and weird. You know, it's nice.
I like that idea of like being with someone but then not living with them.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, I like living
close
with Chris, but also just in Sydney, it'd be really hard not to, just financially.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like living with my partner, and I think it's nice when people choose not to, but financially, it's a fucking shit fight. Like, I think people move in because it's just easier. You know, for food and accommodation, like housing and stuff. It's way easier to live with your partner.
You're very right in what you said.
Mate, I'm right at everything.
No, you're not right at fucking everything. You're right about some things.
only the, you know.
Only the relationship.
Only the important stuff. No, I don't even know anything about that. I just know that I'm happier than I was.
Yeah. No, you clearly are.
But that doesn't mean anything.
But you're right. You're right in what you said about, you know, like I think my problem, you know, a lot of the time when I'm talking to someone new that could potentially be someone, blah 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 blah, it is that like Terminator vision where you're analyzing every fucking word that's coming out of there. That wasn't a funny joke, or you like that movie, and just making a judgment call on their entire totality of
but
their
that's
personality.
also protection as well, you know.
And that's what I think it is. I don't know. Like it is an incredibly judgmental place to be, but I think it comes from a place of
fear of
get the fuck.
It's come from a fear of
Yeah. But it is also like, I just feel like it's not necessarily a clear indication of that person at all.
I don't think it is at all.
Yeah.
But I think that minor romance that I had kind of stuffed that in my head.
That was a lesson.
I think it was like a massive lesson, even though it was very truncated and very intense.
So you just got to go up to the fattest, ugliest person you see. Let's give it a shot, baby. When we're 20 years in,
It'll always be interesting.
Fuck. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's are you on the hunt, like actively?
Ooh, wow.
I don't hunt.
The hunt?
I don't know how to hunt. I never learned how to hunt.
Oh, Nick, you know how to hunt.
No, I don't.
You know how to hunt.
I honestly
I've seen
don't.
you flirt with people before.
No,
Yes,
that's bullshit.
Nicky, I've seen you hunt. I've seen you hunt.
You know how I hunt? I see someone that I want, and then I run away
You find an
screaming.
artistic-
And then I masturbate over an abstract symbol.
You find like an artistic slightly angry,
Manic pixie dream girl.
pixie dream girl
No, it's
who's wearing op shop clothing but still cares about how she looks, but you can't tell. And then you go
No,
start
just
playing
describe
her
Madeline.
guitar. No, I was actually thinking of someone else.
Oh, different festival, yeah. But
pick up her guitar.
but I didn't.
And then
I
you
only go
guys-
with girls who approach me.
Yeah, I'm very
Like
much the same.
I have too much anxiety. Man. I got my
exactly the
first
same.
kiss when I was 23. Like I never learned how to do this.
Yeah.
I went on
Yeah, but I think
on
heaps of
Tinder
people
for.
feel like that. I feel like I didn't
well,
know how to
where
do
the
it.
fuck do they hang out
but
then?
it's different. Like, yeah, like,
I felt like I didn't know how to do it.
there's-
Yeah,
Hello.
but girls get approached more.
yes, and there's
No
a cultural.
girl
By
approaches
necessarily
guys.
people they want to be approached by.
That's
Still,
true.
you get approached by enough people that
Yeah, I
eventually you'll
guess.
find someone.
And there is a cultural assumption that a guy, if he is interested in a woman, will make the move. There
You
is no
yelled
concept.
at me about this for ages, Benny, because I approached Chris,
Yeah, I kept telling you to approach him.
and I did.
Because I said, I don't think that he's going to approach you. I think that he's a cool guy that doesn't want to fucking
And I
foist his
approached him.
face into yours and make an assumption.
And
Yeah.
I approached him.
Exactly.
I'm a normal gal.
Well, more women should take after your leaf.
I'm just
it's
kicking
true.
goals
It's true.
tonight.
No, but it's fucking
Women
true.
need to be more
because
proactive.
there is no concession for that fucking hyper anxious guy that's like, all signs point to this person liking me, but if I lean in for a kiss and she recoils, that's going to scar me up for life, so I better
Yeah.
not do anything.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's not even attractive to a lot of people. You
No,
know?
it's fucking
Of course,
repellent.
it's not manly. It's not masculine. You know?
Yeah.
Or maybe that lady is just a massive sexist. That's what I like to think.
You really didn't get kissed till you were 23?
No.
Yeah, I was 21. I remember like lying to my fucking friends at a party about a year before I lost my virginity, saying that I had lost my virginity because it was just so fucking humiliating.
Yeah, I did that.
Like they were like, yeah, we got fucking laid at 16, bro.
Yeah. I think if I actually did that, a lot of my issues would have been solved.
got laid at 16?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, they've done tests.
What do you mean?
No.
Yeah, like if you lose your virginity earlier, then you don't have like the fucking social retardation around women.
No.
It's true.
Oh, I think it would depend on the context and the scenario.
Well,
in
I'm
which you
talking
got
about
laid.
sex, not rape, you know, so.
No, but just, I mean, if you had... like,
Jesus.
If I was,
That's what I thought you were referring.
no.
Sorry.
God.
No.
I'm sorry,
Okay,
Ben. I'm so
like for instance, like I lost my virginity to a woman who was significantly older than me,
Yeah.
who was very, it was very good, and she was very, there was a kind of a tutorial aspect to it, not in a condescending way, but in a kind of like,
Mrs.
hey man,
Robinson way.
yeah, this is how you please
yeah.
a woman, and I had incredible body shame and self like
Yeah, me too.
like
Yeah.
I'd never been touched. It really freaked me out. Like the first time she put her hand on my leg, like my body was involuntarily jerking away from her.
Yeah.
She's like, "What? Are you okay? What's wrong?"
Yep.
I feel like had I not had that experience and I'd had an experience with someone my own age, and it had just been bad, and I'd had that same fear, but she wasn't in a place in her life or mature enough to be able to go, hey, it's okay, like relax, and it had just been a horrible, awkward situation. I think that would have fucked me up for a really
But I
long
feel
time.
like that is everyone depending on age. Because my high school boyfriend who I slept with was a real hippie and was like sweet as pie and like all into, like I could have looked like anything and he would have been like, you're just an angel and we're floating above, the sky looking at the same moon. And it's like if my first experience was with a dick, I would have been real fucked up as well. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like it's kind of that thing of
I think I was
everyone's
fucked
first
up from,
experience.
like 7 years of not getting laid when everyone else was getting
Nikki.
laid.
Yeah, I was fucked up by
like
that too.
with that shit which goes in your
Yeah,
head for like
it
5
does.
years, going, what's fucking wrong with me?
Yeah.
Like what's
Oh,
no.
Nikki.
It's all right.
No,
all
it's
right.
true, but no, it's
That's
true.
what
It's
goes.
true.
That's what it's a
Absolutely.
very
You
common
feel like
thing.
that.
It's true. And people used to like be like, they were trying to help, but they'd be really condescending and be like, oh, don't worry, when you're in your 30s, women will love you. And it's like, yeah, but I'm fucking 18. What are you talking about? In my 30s? I'm going to be alive in my 30s. Like, I want to get laid now. That's the reason I lost all that fucking weight that I had in high school. It was
Yeah,
like
me
the
too.
greatest motivating factor of all.
Run into the pussy.
Well, it
That's
wasn't
why I
even...
started doing comedy.
Really?
Yeah.
To get laid.
All creative endeavors, I feel, are just massive male display behaviors. Let's fucking. But then that was a total mistake as well. I mean, that doesn't work.
Oh,
It wasn't a mistake.
You
No,
got
I mean-
heaps of puss from comedy.
No, no, I didn't. Come on, with my act, you know the kind of women who attract to my act.
No,
I know
but it's a
the
very
women.
specific type of woman that is drawn
They
to
were
your act.
into it.
Yeah,
And they were lovely. All of them were lovely.
Yeah.
And they were into the act.
No
But
comment.
It does fuck you up, right? It's like everyone, I didn't know that about you, but everyone else I know has, had like a lot of at least smooches and stuff all through high school and all that. And I didn't
And
at all.
I wonder if that's where the addictive thing comes from.
More.
Because you're like, oh, what if this doesn't happen again?
Yeah, it's like feast or famine.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's all good.
No, seriously, because I remember like the first time I ever kissed a girl, I was in like whatever year 1 playing catch and kiss, and there was this girl in our year who, if the boys that didn't get caught and kissed in the game, after the game was over, they got to line up on the fence and she would just make her way down the line and kiss everyone. It's so sweet. And I remember even at that age, like whatever I was, like 7, being like, whoa, that feels really good. Like I want more of that.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we played. I used to play kiss and catch as well.
Absolutely.
I went to an all boys school.
Catch and beat.
No, kiss and catch.
And then in year 7, I had like a minor, whatever, 13, 12-year-old fucking smooch behind the fucking woodwork block with a girl in my year. And again, it was like, oh, I want more of that. And then from then on, it was just like barren, like nothing. And I got fatter and fatter through high school. And every year I would be in love with some new girl. And by the end of the year, I would confess that I was in love. And they'd always have that weird kind of look on their face of like, friends, we're friends.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
friends. You're friends. Yes.
there's like
You're too fat. You ruined my image.
there's like 5 people fucking nailing it in high school.
No. But it does
Everyone
like.
else is awkward
And
as
they're all
shit.
dead from VD.
In my high school, it felt like everyone was fucking hooking. And of course, that's just perspective and everything. But it definitely did leave a fucking imprint going
shit's
forward.
still there. Fuck.
It's still there.
Why can't I
but
just
I
get
agree with
over it?
that. I think it's still there.
What's the solution? What, do we just fucking become Tinder sluts? I don't.
No,
I can't do that.
no. I did fucking the online. Have you ever done that? The online dating thing?
I did. I couldn't do it.
It's a fucking.
I was just be
It's
like,
a fucking abattoir, man.
Hi. What do I say now?
And every line is like, you're trying to seem detached and glib, but really you care so fucking much because this means
I was
something.
just looking at their faces, going, "Who the fuck are you?" Like,
Yeah, it's weird.
I can't do it.
Well, and it's just, and like, there was for a couple of years I went on this run where I was like going on dates every weekend. And it just becomes this like
Party boy.
But it's not. It's so weird because I missed out on that whole thing in my early 20s and late teens of fucking heaps of different people and making out with heaps of different people. It always felt like this deficiency or this hole of like, oh, you never had that.
Catching up.
And if you could just have that, then you'd be complete.
Doesn't work?
It doesn't fuck. It's
Great.
It's
I'm going to skip that then.
It's so.
I was thinking that's maybe what I need to do.
Bro, it's so fucking empty. It's so fucking gross.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
it just
yeah.
becomes this like.
I've had that actually. I've had one night
You've done
stands.
that
And it's
shit.
just like horrible.
Yeah. And like you think, I don't
Just
know.
staring at them like
Who are you?
inside of them and going, "Who are you?" Like,
Yeah, I got your
Oh,
spit in your.
Jesus.
No, but it's true. It's like I got your spit and your sweat all over me. And I don't know who the fuck you are.
yeah.
It's a fucking
Yeah.
nightmare. Like I don't.
Your face is very, very sexy right now.
Yuck.
It's I don't know. It's it does. I don't know. It does scar you up, I suppose. But I think that's a lot of what we're fucking dealing with now. I think that's what that inbuilt fear is. Because when I track it down, it's like. It is just that fucking little 12-year-old fat kid being like, yeah, don't hurt me. Don't make me fall in love with you and then tell me that you don't like me.
Maybe, I don't know, what is just meant to get... How do we kill that boy?
That boy's... I don't think... But I think
That boy needs a hug.
That's exactly right. The boy doesn't need to be killed. He needs to be like, it's okay, buddy.
Like the kind of hug where he stops breathing?
I was telling you the other night, I had this like vision. I don't think I've ever told you this, but I had this vision quest one night where I was like, I was on some things and I was being haunted by demons and monsters and
great, yeah.
The fucking bad shit was happening. And I was like, fuck this. And that night I was like, all right, I'm going to face whatever this is. This is the night I'm facing it. I'm not going to turn away from it anymore.
Yeah.
And so I was like cruising around the astral plane, like flying along. And I was
Nice.
looking for like a dragon or a beast or some monster. Like, what is this thing that keeps fucking, whispering in my ear that I'm shit and that I suck and all that stuff. And I was so determined to find this dragon that I was flying around looking for it, couldn't see anything. And then I heard this like, like down below, and I kind of cruised down, landed on the ground, and it sounds so lame and trite, but it was fucking happened. It was 12-year-old me, you know, just sitting there in
Needing
his
a hug.
underwear going like, I hate myself, I'm fat, I'm covered in stretch marks, I'm disgusting. And
Fuck, maybe that's what, yeah.
But that was the demon. The demon was never a dragon or some fucking gross cyclops. It's just you at 12 being like, I love me.
You need to just like
Alright.
fill up yourselves and then find someone else and then
With
you can
what?
Yeah,
like,
people always
with
say
a
you
bit
gotta
of
love yourself. How do you do that?
Yeah, well, fill up with what?
like,
and why are you dispensing fucking advice like you're
Oh, no,
fucking
Michelle.
full of the wisdom of the universe?
I was thinking, to be honest, of like, I think I told you, Benny, but like Chris and I were hanging out like a few months ago, and I was like, I was like, what are you doing? And he goes, this is like very personal, but who gives a shit? But I was like, oh man, I'm so happy I have boobs now. I can wear stuff. Because when I was like, because my thing is when I was a teenager, I was like really skinny and flat chested and just did not look.
See, when I was a teenager, I had boobs.
Yeah, same. Big titties.
Yeah,
The
see, I
only
had
kid
no
in fucking
titties.
class.
So I was like, I'm so happy I have boobs now. And he was like, I'm happy you have boobs as well. And he goes, I wish I could tell 12-year-old Chris, like, it's going to be okay. We'll get boobs. Like, we'll have boobs one day. I feel like it's that thing of like, you know, you can tell like 12 or 18-year-old Nikki, like, we'll have sex. It'll be great. You know, like you just got to
no, I
get
can't.
there.
Yeah, but
Fill it up.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's like the wiring's fucking put in there, and I feel like when you're at your weakest or your most vulnerable, you just default back into
Yeah,
that.
that's what
I
happened
still
recently.
feel like,
I
yeah.
was in a really good place, then that thing happened, and then
Which thing happened?
the fucking bursting of the bubble of addictive.
Oh, you were in a
love.
romance.
Well, yeah, and then I was like in a really good place, and then that just collapsed, and then there was that choice, like, all right, well, either you can just like not deal with it, or you can just let this thing get you.
Yeah.
And then I just went into this loop of like fucking feeling bad, and it totally fucking drained my power.
Yeah. Oh, it's exhausting.
It's like fuck, and I was like, and there was some part I could tell which was enjoying it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
because
a
it's
sick
comfortable
part.
and it feels good because you're like, I knew this would happen. I knew I'd be here again.
Dude, I was doing that after like a particularly bad breakup where, you know, I would be feeling okay. And then I would almost be like, oh, why? You shouldn't feel okay. You're heartbroken. And I would deliberately put on songs that we used to listen together and just sit there staring into the middle distance,
Yeah, just
smoking.
feeling
Like, what are you
into it.
doing?
Listening to the QAnon stuff.
Yeah, like, why are you fucking putting yourself through this?
We're just self-indulgent pricks.
I think that's all it is, man. I think we're just these fucking absurdly self-indulgent pricks that think that we're fucking on top of it, but really it's just...
I think we have too much time on our hands.
Really?
Oh, maybe me.
I'm busier than I've ever been.
Me
Like,
too,
I'm working
actually.
my fucking
Me too.
ass off. Like I'm subscribing to that fucking notion of just keep busy, keep moving. But that is also increasingly feeling exhausting. Like I can't, you know, like I feel like I'm just gonna burn out on that eventually, and then
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, you have a breakdown.
But that's kind of what it feels like. It feels like I think I'm that kind of person that's like, oh, you're gonna need like a fucking like valve in your heart to explode before you actually stop and do something about all this stuff. You know, I don't know. Like I put all these actions in place to, you know, work on this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's always with the best of intentions, but after, you know, whatever, 2-3 weeks, it
Yeah.
you know. Last year I was meditating and doing yoga every day.
Yep.
And I was never more zen and happy, you know, like, and I felt completely centered. Nothing could penetrate that. And I was in that space where I was like, oh, I'll never not meditate and do yoga every day.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's like 6 months later and you haven't meditated or done yoga. And it's like, how did the fuck does that happen?
Well, that's what happened. I did this Qigong course and paid like fucking a lot of money for it, but this guy's meant to be like top of the line, and I did. I was like, this is amazing. And I was doing it every day.
Yeah.
And then that thing happened, and I've been doing it like every second day now, but I'm not feeling it. It's
I
like
know.
once you
Do you have
fall
to
out of
just
the
push
loop.
through?
I've been pushing through for a week now, so I guess I've got to keep pushing through.
A week's not a long time.
But it's like I was keeping a daily diary for like 4 years, and it was like I was so fucking anal about it, like every day, and it was a pleasure to do. And then this year, you know, I missed a week, and then I missed a month, and now it's like in my head, it's like, oh, that's done. You're never doing that again.
But stop being so like hard on yourself about it, and just start it when you want to start it.
But that's what I wonder. It's like, you know, it's like you just said, like you don't feel it. You're doing the
But maybe I got to stick at it, right?
push through.
I don't know. I've been pushing through.
I think we lack an inherent sense of self-discipline to push through something that we're
Well,
not
that's why I
immediately
started doing
enjoying
this freaking Qigong thing, because I was like, I need a fucking physical discipline.
I think we have the same problem in fucking relationships. It's all. I think all of
You
this.
guys
is,
are the same person.
No, we're very
I'm
similar.
kidding.
We're very. Yeah.
I love how Nikki goes no, and you're like, yeah, we're
Well,
exactly.
no, it's why we fell out for many years, because we're just black mirror reflections of
Yeah.
each other
Yeah,
in a lot of ways, and it's when we're in
Some
bad
ways.
well when we're in bad places, it's toxic to be around because it's just a fucking feedback loop.
Toxic
of,
even for me as well.
yeah, it's
And I picked up a lot of shit from you, and I'm sure you picked up a lot of shit from me.
definitely yeah. No, definitely we were like kind of rolling around in each other's detritus, but not realizing it. You know,
No.
kind of.
I don't know what it says about me, but I became friends with you guys around this time.
Yeah, why?
I was like, what?
we were in full blown fucking like whacked out
It's like,
territory.
my
when
people,
we met you.
finally.
Yeah.
It's troubling.
Crazy, but I think that's that thing. I think a key problem for us, for both of us, in
you and
all
Nikki.
aspects. Yeah, for me and Nikki is in romance, in sticking with something that's no longer pleasurable. It's like, if this thing is not pleasurable all the time,
Yeah,
I'm
right
fucking
now.
out. I'm out. I'm bored. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know if that's a fear of whatever, or if it's an immaturity, or what it is, but it's.
I don't know. I was stuck at comedy for 13 years, and
You still enjoyed it.
yeah, I guess so.
Of course, you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed some aspects of it. I enjoyed the performing, yeah.
Yeah, you enjoyed the performing.
Sometimes.
You enjoyed being, somewhat revered, and I think you did. There's a certain,
probably,
of course,
yeah.
there's a certain sense of like,
Well, it's the ego massage.
yeah, man,
Feels good,
and getting
don't
respect
it?
from your peers, and having people go, "Oh, you're fucking great."
But
you're brilliant."
I stopped doing that, not because I wasn't enjoying it anymore then. So, I think, anyway.
Why did you stop
What, that
doing
you
it?
push through something?
If you push through, I don't know if you can push through sometimes with stuff.
Oh, no, not with heaps of stuff.
Well, so because
I mean, there are comedians who have been pushing through for a long time.
Yeah, right.
There's no guaranteed light
when
at
they're
the
not
end
enjoying
of the
it.
tunnel. No, even if they are enjoying it.
Yeah. Well,
It's
if you're
pushing through for something.
Pushing through for something.
but if you're enjoying something, is it pushing through? For me, pushing through is only if you're not enjoying something.
Yeah.
And then at that point, it's like, well, what's the difference between maybe you just don't like this thing, so why are you forcing yourself to push through and keep doing
Exactly.
it? Maybe this, I can't pronounce this thing, Kinjung.
Qigong.
Sorry, I'm
You would have loved the
I'm
teacher,
pretty out
man.
of it.
You would have loved the
You just
teacher.
became like a 90-year-old Jew.
Qigong.
I can't say it.
Can't say
you
it's
say
bloody.
it?
But like you're saying you're not into it anymore, and it's like, well, maybe you're just not into it. Do you have to push
I
through?
was really into it.
Yeah, but maybe it just fucking, you were into it. I used to be into fucking.
Are you manically into it?
I was like fucking doing
I
it.
used to
that's
love
the
watching
thing,
The
it's the
Simpsons, and
manic-
the idea of watching The Simpsons again is like, I'm
Yes,
done.
Well, I'm going to try and keep pushing through. I pay a lot of money for it.
But see, if
Maybe
you're doing
that's-
it-
maybe
yeah,
that's
the
why.
fucking problem. Yeah. I was seeing a nutritionist for a while, and like it became very clear within 3 sessions. It's like, this is a complete waste of my fucking time. She's not telling me anything I don't already know. But I continued to persist with these fucking action plans and these meetings.
Because you paid money.
Because I paid the money, and it was like, but in
I'd
the
probably
end,
do that as well.
But in the end, you end up resenting it more than if you just washed your hands of it. Went, you know what?
you're right,
I paid
you're
the
right.
money, and I'm fucking. It's not working. It's fine. You know.
Yeah, fuck. Also,
Don't let me drag you into fucking like
no. I'm
laziness
seeing
and-
why it fucking went, and it got hard. Got hard because I had to stop for a bit,
when also you're doing like,
and then also it was hard.
Yeah, because you have to sort of start again.
Yeah, I don't know.
and if you're doing something like that out of obligation, it's like, man, it's
But isn't that
work.
discipline?
no, because I don't feel like when you're thinking about something monetarily, that's not.
Well, it's not strictly monetarily, but it's like
When you guys grew up, did you have to do anything you didn't want to do from your parents?
yeah,
Never.
all the time.
I never had to, and that's.
See, this is polar opposite. I feel like I'm okay with discipline because my mum was just like, you have to finish things. Like,
Nah,
there was
man.
no question. Like, it was like swimming before school, ballet after school. Like, it was like
Yeah,
we
I had
did
to do
something
that.
every day, and there was no. And if I was like, I don't want to go, I'd be like, oh well, you've committed to it. That was the thing. It'd be like, you've committed to it, and you need to finish it.
If I was like,
If you
I
start
don't want
something,
to.
you need to finish it.
If I was like, I don't want to do that, they're like, it's fine. You don't
See,
have to
so
do it.
you know
wow.
about discipline in that you did it when you were younger, Nikki.
Yeah, I hated it.
You didn't like having to do those things.
Who likes being told what to do?
Yeah, but I would
Well,
like.
except for some people.
I guess
and
like
that's-
with stuff like swimming or like athletic stuff, you'd feel better at the end of it.
No, I wouldn't.
Oh, I would.
I hate basketball. I still hate basketball now.
Did you have to play
I
basketball?
had to play a whole
Your
fucking
parents-
season of basketball. Coach was like, you don't really seem into it. Yeah, I fucking never wanted to do this. I just want to go play and do what I want.
Whose parents made them play basketball?
Really? A lot of people.
I thought you were
A lot of
say,
parents
like,
make them play. Maybe play
I
soccer.
had to play baseball in my
Yeah, I was just like, what is
No,
this shit?
I've only grown up around people where it's like ballet or piano. That's it.
Fuck.
I've
See,
never had parents-
I wish I had the musical instrument thing. I wish that wiring had been put in, that
Oh,
ability
man.
to stick with something and just fucking do it.
I just had an image of you as a sex officer.
Yeah, just that like discipline. Not only to stick to something, but get like it must feel very good to fucking
Well,
make
not for
music.
Nikki.
And, no,
I love making music.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Like-
I mean, I love swimming, but then they made it all competitive, and I'm like, this is shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like competitive shit either. I wasn't into that.
Go beat that guy.
Yeah,
It's
with
just like-
swimming, they'd be like, beat your personal best. I was like, I don't care about my personal best. I just want to swim,
I
man.
participated in no sport. Every
Good for you.
every cross country in high school. About 2 minutes in, I'd pretend that I'd sprained my ankle so I wouldn't have to do it, and it was clear in retrospect that all the teachers knew this fat little shit is just faking it. But it was like I couldn't do it.
They didn't want you to get leg rub or whatever it's called.
chafe.
Chafe.
I just
They didn't
did
want you to get
like
chafe.
Such a motherfucker. Bleeding thighs. It was fucked up,
Oh,
man.
Jesus.
Bleeding, Jesus.
Man, you forget
That is
what
fucked
your
up.
the capacity for endurance that you have as a kid and as a teenager is like, I think far exceeds
Yeah.
what you can endure as an adult. The fact that you have to get up every day and
Go
go
to
to
school.
school. You don't have a choice. Go to school. Doesn't matter what happened last night or yesterday or how much trauma
Or
you're
this
going
morning.
through. Or this morning. Whatever.
Yeah, go to school.
Go to school, and not only are you having to go to a place you don't want to go to, it's like a fucking prison yard. You've got to fucking survive. You got to, completely have your wits about you the whole time. It's amazing. Some of the shit that I feel like if I had, comparable stuff happening now, it would put me on my ass for a week.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going to work. I'm not fucking.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like I've chilled out more as I've gotten older,
Yeah, me too.
especially in terms of working. I work a lot less now. I work full time, but I work a lot less now than I used
You're less angry than you used to be. I don't know if you've chilled.
to. Yeah, because I've got that more in thing. I have it more in
I
control.
think you just lose your life force a bit. Like
That's
you got,
what I think
You got
it
too
is.
much
Oh,
life force
no.
when you're a teenager and 21.
I still feel the anger. I just have it more in control. I'm not as fucking stupid that I'm going to yell at some random person.
When I was
Gotten a little bit smarter, tiny bit.
when I was 20, I went working at Starbucks and just like raging all the fucking time. Like I remember there was
I love that you worked at
I was so
Starbucks, Benny.
I was so hateful.
The face of Starbucks.
So fucking hateful.
Benny Ellwood.
There's a lesson plan about me in the Starbucks Australian College now because I accidentally knocked a egg timer into a guy's venti latte and it leaked battery acid all through it, but he didn't realise until he'd finished the latte
Ew.
that it was sitting at the bottom. So there's some lesson plan now about like the magnetized fucking egg timers on the barista machine.
Wow.
But anyway, I used to work with this like. He was probably like my age now, like 37-year-old guy, and like super. He introduced me like Bill Maher and a bunch of comics at that age. And I remember him saying to me at one point, he's like, "Don't worry, man. This fire is unsustainable. Eventually, you just won't care so much about all the things that you really care about now." I'm like, "Never. It'll never happen. The fire will burn eternal." And it's
Yours
like,
still burns pretty bright.
Yeah,
I
but,
think
but I can feel
I'm
it
like
killing me. Like now
I'm
I can
like-
feel it killing me.
an example of getting older and chilling out more than you.
Do you
Because
think I'm
like
more
I feel like I am more chilled out and that I can't be bothered.
you knew me
As an age thing. Like it's like I just can't be fucked.
Nikki knew me when I was like
A bebe.
25.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you think I'm more chilled out now?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
yeah. And you have a bit more sense of humor about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing with me. You take yourself really seriously when you're 20, right?
Yeah.
Go.
I remember one.
You're a fucking idiot. I reckon there's some addictive thing in anger as well. It makes you feel powerful.
I'm also. I feel
Powerful,
quite
feel good.
articulate when I'm
Makes you feel good.
angry.
Feels good in a way.
Well,
It's a release. It's such a release.
Yeah, and words flow very easily through
Especially
when
for
I'm angry.
you. Yeah, yeah.
Like so, it's like yeah.
It's an explosion. It's a purging of all the emotions you don't want to acknowledge, like love and
Fuck
sadness.
off, cunt. I don't even know what to. Yeah, I don't know.
I know you meant that as a hug.
I didn't think the episode would turn into like a massive fucking therapy session, but it sounds like it was.
What else do you want
We
to
didn't pick you.
achieve?
For once, you're not the fucking or the wounded one. You're like the Zen
I'm
healer.
fucked up. Don't worry.
No, I don't
Can all
know.
fall
I know
apart
you're fucked
tomorrow,
up.
but I'm
Has anyone
happy
met
right
someone
now.
who's not fucked up?
Yeah, exactly. I'm happy right
There are
now.
degrees of fucked upness.
Mine are low at the moment. Give
What
it
do
a
you-
week.
Like, I feel like we know a lot of people who are fucked up but refuse to kind of acknowledge it or acknowledge it in a quite a glib kind of detached way.
Yeah.
What do you reckon the fucking long-term consequences of that are? Do you think you can...
Cancer.
Well, that's what I feel like. I feel like a lot of...
Pretty much, yeah.
I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, look, I'm just going to put all that in a box and with any luck I'll die before that box ever kind
But
of
I
breaks
wouldn't
open.
judge because you don't know what their
Depression,
you don't know what their shit is.
heart failure,
And like for all the stuff that you can acknowledge and you can discuss as trauma or
weird sexual
sadness
fetishes.
or whatever you want to fucking call it, some people's shit is too big for them to cope with. And the only way for them to cope is to push it down. And if they bring it up, maybe they don't cope. Maybe they don't handle
There's
day to day whatever. You know what I mean? They don't want to. Not everyone wants to sort their shit out because it's too big for them to cope with now.
No, I agree. I totally get that.
It's too,
and
it's
there's
too
no ju-
much.
and there's
It would
no-
destroy the.
And I think on the other end, that people can be too obsessed with their shit as well.
Oh yeah, it's so indulgent.
With the whole self-help sort
Well,
of
all of this is
stuff.
so
Yeah,
indulgent.
definitely. There's a fine line between like healing and just rolling around your own shit.
Both are fun.
And then, I think the self-obsession of therapy is a fucking massive contributing factor to people's fucking problems anyway.
I like to garden
Yeah, I think maybe
And
that's
bake.
just fucking garden,
and work dough.
squeeze everything down.
You know what I'm going to
I
fucking...
like to, I like to make pasta as a therapeutic thing.
I'm going to get I'm getting a dog soon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, let it out on that puppy.
And I'm going to... How dare you?
What kind
I'm
of dog?
I'm just going to let fate decide.
Oh, yeah.
I'll know when I know.
Jackie fucking cross
Yeah, fucking pull out my...
purple. I'm my own dog.
You should get a Labradoodle.
Yeah. A cockapoo. Isn't that the funniest name for a dog?
Cockapoo.
Cockapoo.
They're so cute.
Cockapoo.
I don't like all those dogs, but anyway,
do.
I'm just gonna let my heart decide, and the dog. I think a dog chooses you.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna get it declared a anxiety relief dog, so I can get it take it with me wherever I go. And at first I was like, oh, that's a really that's a nice grift of the system, so that you
No.
can get your dog on the bus and take it to gigs and stuff. But the more I think about it, I actually think it will help a lot.
Yeah, you definitely need one. Yeah.
An anxiety relief dog.
Yeah.
Then you look like an evil sort of bad guy as you're like stroking this dog, going, "That fucking prick, that fucking prick."
Corner of a room.
Stroking a white
I
chihuahua.
really don't get fucking angry. Like when I'm around animals, whenever I'm around fucking that kind of thing, I'm very much calmer.
Yeah, you definitely need a dog.
We shall see.
Benny needs a dog.
Fuck, I think we are. Well,
Benny needs
should we
to
put a bullet in this?
Yeah. It's been 2 hours.
Yeah.
Do you have a word that you want to put in the hat for a future
Oh,
guest?
yeah. What do you want to give us?
You don't have to write it down. Just say it.
Oops.
I don't know. My head just went butt.
Yeah,
Yeah, butt.
butts. Can we say butts plural?
Okay.
Hey, the man said butt.
All right, butt. The
Butt.
word is butt by Nick's son. Thank you, Nicky, for doing oinking with us.
That's
Thanks
all right.
for it. Yeah, hanging out.
Thanks for anyone who wanted to listen to people talk about themselves 2 hours. I think around the hour mark, I was like, "Oh, this is a really long podcast."
I know.
We can cut stuff out.
We're the worst.
All right,
Leave it all in.
bye.
They need to know.